Today I want to talk about wah pedals and why you need one and what to do with it when you get it.
On your resume, you didn't mention that you impregnate women with your sexy music.
First thing, I got a couple wah pedals in my hand here. This is a Crybaby 535Q that does not work full size. That's going to be important. And a mini wah, just the normal, I can't remember exactly what they call it, but it's the traditional wah. Both are great. I was too lazy to fix this one, so I bought a new one from Tone Central Station. Go check them out. They're in East Nashville, and they're the best music store in Nashville. But anyway, and I've had this on my board forever, but the issue with this, I brought a shoe in here to show you exactly. The issue with mini wahs is you have to have, when this is on a board, for it to feel normal, you got to put your foot like here, and this action, not having this much on my toe, felt weird. Even like the middle felt weird. And I really couldn't do this anyway, because by the time I wear like a size 11 shoe, so by the time all of this space right here, I'm hitting other pedals. I'm turning on shit I didn't mean to turn on. I'm hitting knobs and whatever, so it just didn't make sense. And I couldn't use it how I wanted to. So I got the full version, but I really don't get rid of pedals. I kind of just keep them. So, and this is like the perfect, it's tiny enough for me to like talk about and not have a big one. So there's that. But anyway, if that doesn't bother you, or you use one of those like single row, like the Expand D'Addario pedal boards, this would be perfect on it because you wouldn't have to worry about hitting another pedal. But there's that. Now I got my PR Silver Sky, because I am a Strat guy, if this is your first time being here. And right now, what I have, let me kick this thing off. Just a normal clean sound with like a Blackface IR, you know. Right, I just turned on a Klon for that. But the cool thing with a wah, let's say going through the genres, there is, I've never really heard a wah in country. Someone in the comments, please show me a time where someone was doing that in country music. I'd love to hear it, but I've never seen it. So you see it mostly in funk, blues, soul, and metal. I'm not going to show you metal. It's just not my thing. There's plenty of guys who do that, and hopefully in the future, I know some really good metal players. I can like bring that kind of stuff into the channel. But right now, blues, soul, and funk is what I do. So into the funk thing, just a clean thing going on here. Guitar volumes all the way up. I just turned on a compressor. All right, if I hit that a little bit. It's a great thing to especially make something sound more funky, like a song. I had we used to play Prince's 1999, and as I was, actually exactly the sound I was doing, I was playing this part, you know. Right, kind of mimicking the keys doing a version of that, and underneath I had the other guitar player was just taking like a F and just on the one, just so or maybe full form of it is So that's one of the ways to go about the funk thing. And it doesn't, you can embellish the one of that whenever it comes around, because funk is all about the one and hitting the one and hitting it hard. But you could seriously just accompany accompany a band and just do this. Get a little louder in here and go. You know, kind of stuff like that. There's many ways to do it. That brings me on getting into pedals and stuff like that. So the wah pedal, as you're hearing it, right, which makes it go from a low to a high frequency, which I'm sure you're aware of that, but that frequency is all more mid-range. It's kind of the sweep between, from what I believe, from my ears and what I can tell. If I'm wrong and you're an audio engineer, please tell me. But I don't know exactly where it is on the EQ graph, but it is the lower end of the mid-range to the higher end of the mid-range. So what I have found is if you take something like a Tube Screamer that already cuts the highs and the lows anyway and focuses on the mid, it kind of makes a wah more responsive on what you want anyway. So I just turned on a Tube Screamer, right? And or if I turn on a Klon and a Tube Screamer, so it's really going now. Right, so that's one trick I would look at doing, is having something that's very mid-focused, because it's going to make the wah respond entirely different. The other thing, I kind of did it here, so is there's many ways to use a wah, and a wah is very different compared to a like an envelope filter or an auto wah kind of thing. It's a different sound entirely. And this is what is cool about this, because you can really control it with your foot, obviously. And let's say I have a Tube Screamer on right now and a Klon. So if you're taking, I guess let me show you this first. So if you have your wah, right, and you have it up, and as you're bending into a note and like getting to the pitch you're going for, like 9 times out of 10, most of the bends I'm doing are just whole step bends. I'm not doing anything too like Gilmore style, but as I'm bending into that, slowly turn it up, and it makes that bend sound crazier than it is. And you see Hendrix do this a lot, and it sounds crazier. So I'll demo that, I guess. So, right. So if you bend in, let me turn on these pedals. So that's another thing. Whenever you're doing stuff like this, and it's not just funk playing, have some drives on, because that's what's going to make it really hit. If I just take this bend. That makes it sound kind of what you're going for. And whenever you are going like in a solo, going like full blast, and you hear it, like, so you can, for example, like, let's say you're doing a little run like this. So like as I'm working up the solo, like working up, I'm like kind of popping, like kind of slow, and then when I get to that bend, I just teeter it, and then when I get to the peak of it and I have it all the way down like that, I'm taking it, like I'm shaking that note, and it just makes it sound like it does, right? You know, and it's that feeling of like popping that, right? So don't be afraid to like go all the way down with it. And there's so many different ways. So don't be afraid to get like mean with these things. They break. You can find them used $100 all day long, and they last forever, especially if you're not afraid to solder some stuff. So like you can, I hear Philip say a lot. Just go. I'm just running a scale. I'm not used to doing it that way, but you can. There's no wrong way of doing this. The other thing that I would say, whenever you're using fuzz pedals, like I got a fuzz bass on the floor, which is a pedal that I'm using more than anything because that's clean. Anyway, the last video I did was about fuzz basses, so go check it out. But you have this clean of a sound, and you hit a wah. It makes it sound, it adds a little bit of gain to it. And on the people who have used the 535Q, they know that there's a boost on the side. I don't have that engaged at all, but you can. There's so many wahs to choose from. And that's a cool thing about this wah going in. I'm going into a fuzz face. It's like adding more gain. So I don't even need to touch the volume. I just hit it and we're ripping. So that's cool. Now, the other thing to keep in mind with these pedals is, especially with fuzzes, I don't know how I lucked out or like what happened. I am running my wah into my fuzz, which is like a pedal board no. Like you don't want to do this, but for some reason it's working for me, and I've not had an issue with it. So there's that. Try it in different places. Whenever I had this on my board, I had it behind my fuzzes. And I always had it there because I always felt like I had to. I do think that case arises where you need to do that. That's kind of the formula, per se. But this is why you should always just try stuff and see what happens, because I put it first in the chain, and I think that sounds great. Which is also, if you like look at people's pedal boards, it's kind of how Jimmy had it, so it kind of makes sense. But and this is nice too, because my board, I just use I put a battery in the wah and I just leave it off. I kind of leave it back at this table back here, and if I need it, I throw it down the floor. Or if I'm taking it somewhere. But 9 times out of 10, I don't need a wah. But when you do, it's one of those great tools to bring out. Now, the other thing I would think about doing is, if you are hitting your wah on a lead, like this, like you're, what I recommend doing is click it and then pull it back as soon as you can, because, so what I'm trying to say is, if you're using a fuzz especially, whenever you click it on, pull it back and then baby it. Because I've made the mistake of hitting a wah and leaving it kind of dimed all the way, and there's just so much top end, it can hurt. Alright, y'all. That's all I have. Check out my other videos if you like content like this. And I hate to ask people to subscribe. I'm not getting sponsored, or like there's no there's no one paying me to make videos like this. This is just stuff I have learned for gigging multiple years in Nashville and other places. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.